It is time to hand out the Torchbearer Awards. Who wins the award? We'll give it out right now as part of our report card and roundup of the UTSA game. Today's tough question: who was the best Vol on Saturday?
Today's tough question. Take a side. Take a stand. The Dave Hooker Show, a presentation of offthehooksports.com.
All right, and this is a fun one because sometimes it's easy to say it was Jalen Hyatt or Hendon Hooker against Alabama. And there were a couple of games last year where it's like, yeah, it's got to be that dude, right? So it's got to be Joe Milton in the Orange Bowl. You know, there were some that were just too easy. But this, I thought, is a little bit different in that there were a lot of solid performances, but I don't know that one just blew off the stat sheet. So let's get to the Torchbearers. But the reason it's interesting to me is because we get more interaction with you guys on the message board. So I want to hear it right now from you. Roto already says Samson still easy. Probably so. And good morning to you.
Wrong.
So go ahead. Oh, Caleb's got a wrong already. So that's why I was going to go with Dylan Sampson. He didn't have his he had a huge impact on the game, but by the same token, it was kind of sporadic. He's not the running back you're going to lean on. He needs to catch the ball as well, and I think there are more ways to get him involved. You're not going to show all that versus UTSA. And I will give my Torchbearer Award actually not to Sampson. I'll give it to Tennessee's offensive coaches because I really believe in the Florida game. They lost track of the game because it kind of got a little sideways, and they lost track of Dylan Sampson. There are two guys that can change the course of the flow of the game on offense, and it's Dylan Sampson and Squirrel White. They can pop a 70-yarder, and then suddenly the feel of the game changes. They got him involved. They didn't against Florida. They said they would last week. So I'm actually going to go Torchbearer Award to Tennessee's offensive coaches for making sure they got him involved early and pretty darn often. He was Tennessee's leading carrier.
Dylan Sampson gets a lot of credit. I mean, that was an incredible game. We've all been waiting for this from Dylan Sampson. It was made possible because of that Joe Milton 81-yard touchdown run to open the game. That completely changed how UTSA was going to play defense. And the problem with the Florida game was Joe Milton wasn't running when he should. The player of the game, though, guys, sometimes historic stat lines have to warrant you the player of the game. It's Tamarian McDonald. Guy had an interception, 2 tackles for a loss, a sack, did everything. You know, he and Bryson Eason, if you guys don't remember, they both went to Whitehaven, and their teammate Martavius French now plays on UTSA, also went to Whitehaven, had transferred out of Tennessee back in the day. They all committed together. And in front of his old teammate, he balled out on Saturday. I don't have a lot of positives to say about the secondary as a whole. Tamarian McDonald is the exception. He did everything he's supposed to do. And with Nico Slaughter, you know, obviously not 100%, you got to give Tamarian McDonald credit for that.
All right. Who else are your Torchbearer Award winners?
So Dylan Sampson's obviously on there. He's one of them. There is Elijah Herring, who had a much better game this week. I'm not reading too much into that. I think he should have had a much better game this week. UTSA was playing with its backup quarterback, and they rely on RPOs, and their backup, neither one of their other quarterbacks is mobile. So it was very kind of an easy game for Elijah Herring to have a good game, but he did it. He stepped up when he should have. Joe Milton, I'm giving one to Joe Milton. I know Joe Milton missed some throws in the middle of the game. I think that's because of a shot he took that really threw him off his game for a little while. I think he got hurt. I think he's fine. I think he got fined towards the end, but I think that's all that was about. And I'm going to go Amari Thomas. Tennessee had 7 tackles for a loss, 4 sacks. Bryson Eason helped on one, and Norman Lott got another one, but Norman Lott didn't play till the second half. Amari Thomas was the guy who played the whole game. He was the anchor in the middle. I love those defensive tackles that continually get the push and don't get the sacks, and Amari Thomas has been that for Tennessee. I'm sorry. I love Amari Thomas. I'm a huge fan.
No, I do too. And another vote for Andre Carrig.
That's got to be sarcastic.
Yeah. I don't know if that's sarcastic or not, but there we go. Orange Blood asks, is Keaton okay? And boy, I just really respect his game. I don't know that he'll ever win a Torchbearer Award, but he is just a solid player. Is he okay? I believe that he fell on the ball, but I'm not going to play a sports talk doctor. I hate it when people do that. I either fell on the ball or may have gotten a concussion when his head snapped down. I don't know. And I can tell you that Josh Heupel's not going to tell us at his press conference on Monday. So we'll just have to wait and see. The other
Didn't fall on a helmet, guys. Didn't land on a helmet.
Well, no, he didn't. The other reason that I go with Tennessee's offensive coaches is because they're now utilizing Joe Milton like they should. And that's more Cam Newton-esque. That's more of the option game. That's not asking him to do things that he's not comfortable doing. And I can't imagine for Joe Milton, if he's comfortable throughout a game, that his accuracy won't improve. Now, there's still those streaks. There's those 6, 7, 8 throw streaks where you're like, what the H? And you get really frustrated with that. And I understand, but my column, Caleb, on Saturday, that actually somebody called a parody column. Read the whole thing. The point was that Tennessee's coaches have sent you a clear message that Joe Milton is going to be the guy, that they want Joe Milton to be the guy. And they've sent you that message all along, but they adapted the offense slightly to Milton. You may not like the screen passes. It's an extended running play is what it is, guys. They're trying to draw the defense up, because if you look at the passes that Joe Milton has completed downfield, what's the one common theme? The players have been covered. They've been covered. He's had to primarily downfield complete a ball into coverage. Now, Squirrel White, the one he missed on Saturday, that's an exception. He's got to hit that ball 9 times out of 10, the deep slant. So I get that. But I think you're seeing.
I was thinking the one in the end zone was worse. That's the one you got to hit 10 times out of 10.
Yeah, there's just going to be a couple of games. There are, and no quarterback's perfect, and they're going to be ugly misses, but that's what they are. But I do believe that if they can get defenses to walk up a little bit with the running game, and the screen game is an extended part of the running game, I believe that things can change to the positive for Joe Milton. So again, your thoughts on the message board. Go ahead and get it up there, and let's hear what you think about a Torchbearers award. Big question, is Joe okay? Well, he came back in the second half. And here's the other point to my column. You have every opportunity, if you're Josh Heupel, that if you have any doubt whatsoever in Joe Milton, you can run Nico out there to begin the second half, and there's no quarterback controversy. And you can run your offense because the game's still kind of somewhat in question. And I tell you what, Caleb, when I look at what they did in running Joe Milton out there with the knee, he came back out, had his knee twisted. This is Joe Milton's offense, and it's going to be Joe Milton's offense unless something goes incredibly awry. And I firmly believe that that's the direction Tennessee's going to go. And I think it's going to keep getting better. This is just going to be a different offense. I don't know that they're going to put up a 60 burger every single week. They're probably not, but they can be a solid offense. I don't want to say ball control either, but they're going to control the ball a little bit. Let's get to the report card right now, and I'll tell you whether or not I agree with Caleb Calhoun. It'll be Hank Kingsley with a "Hey now," if I agree, or Tracy Morgan with a "That's crazy." All right, if I don't. So let's get to your report card. By the way, Billy Bob Cooter said Nico looked not so great. I thought he was fine, but I don't. Anyway, moving on. The report card brought to you by Andy Mason Real Estate. I'll tell you more about him. But who was your highest graded position group from the upcoming, or from the UTSA game? Excuse me.
There were 2. Defensive tackles and tight ends, believe it or not. Yes, tight ends. And the reason I gave it to tight ends is because go back and watch Jacob Ward and McAllen Castles. The exterior blocking that they did on those running plays, Dave, was superb. And I mean superb. And that's the most underrated, forgotten part about tight end play. We constantly judge them now on the touchdowns they score. for all y'all who saw Taylor Swift cheering on Travis Kelce scoring a touchdown yesterday, I'm thinking he's a tight end. If he blocks well, he still should impress her because that's part of a tight end's job too.
Taylor Swift is everywhere. I mean, Taylor Swift's PR agent deserves a raise like today. She is absolutely everywhere. And I wonder if the Travis Kelce thing is just like one of those Hollywood football marriages. I don't know. But anyway, the report card.
Taylor Swift scouted him better than Butch Jones did.
All right, so let's go ahead. Let's get to the quarterbacks. What do you got on the quarterbacks? As you gave them a B, I will say, hey now. I think that's perfect. That's exactly the letter I would have picked. I think you nailed it. I think that Joe Milton was good, but not great.
Yeah, no, it's a B. It was good, but not great. Would have been an A if it wasn't for that sequence in the middle of the game where he missed too many throws. And it was that crossing pattern in the end zone where Tennessee had to settle for a field goal. You just can't miss a throw like that. And that's why it's a B.
Running backs.
A-.
Hey now. I'll go with that. Yeah, I might have even gone with an A. But anyway, I'll roll with that. If I'm a half letter grade off of you, I'm going to say we agree. If I'm more than that, I'll let you know with a. That's crazy. All right. While running backs, A-.
They play Dylan Sampson, Jabari Small, Jalen Wright combined for just under 250 yards from scrimmage. I mean, I could have gone with an A with them, to be fair. Maybe I was just being a little particular. I didn't think the play was spectacular enough to get to an A outside of Sampson. So, yeah, that's why I decided to go A-.
Wide receivers.
B+ would have been an A, but Dante Thornton had another drop, and I swear he's good for a drop to 2 a game at this point.
Hey now. Hey now. Hey now. Hey now. I mean, goodness gracious. We're going to start having the conversation on one of the most disappointing transfers in the country. And I don't want to jump on the kid yet, okay, because he's playing with a new quarterback. But were we part of the problem? Did we overhype him? Maybe. Tight ends.
Like I said, A earlier. I thought they played perfect without even missing yards.
Love me some Jacob Ward. The Vol Report, brought to you by Campbell, Cunningham, Taylor, and Hahn, will be up later today. By the way, Philip Fulmer Celebrate 98 is on our YouTube channel. That was a fun conversation on Friday. Before we get to the offensive line, and the offensive line was brought to you by AndyMasonRealEstate.com. 4 decades of combined experience in his office. Best service in the Knoxville area. Go to AndyMasonRealEstate.com. You had offensive line at a C-.
Yep. And that is because of Andre Scarrett. Again, missed a block that got Joe Milton hurt. And I don't think Tennessee ran the ball well because of the offensive line. I think they ran the ball well because of the design run for Joe Milton to open the game that kept the defense honest. I can't give the offensive line too much credit for this game. I don't think they played well.
Okay. Defensive tackles?
A. I loved what Amari Thomas did. Omar Norman Lott missed the first half, still had a sack. Shouldn't have been suspended for the first half. He did nothing wrong last week against Florida. And Bryson Eason also played well.
Edge rushers, do you give?
C+. This game screamed for edge rushers to get 7 sacks between Tyler Barron and James Pierce, and Tyler Barron got 1. It's the second straight week in a row the edge rushers have not taken advantage of a golden opportunity to ball out.
Yeah, and when I look at Tennessee's edge rushers, we saw so much out of them early. I'm wondering why they're not continuing to dominate games, especially against UTSA. This seems like, you said scream for it. I agree. Linebackers
were close to running backs. They got an A-. And the only reason it wasn't higher is there wasn't like a spectacular big play, but Aaron Beasley played well. Elijah Herring did what he should have done, and Caleb Herring came in and had a sack in the game.
That's crazy. I would actually give them an A+. I thought they played really well. All right. Defensive backs.
B- only because of Tamarion McDonald. I actually thought the defensive backs weren't great in the game, and particularly in the third quarter, but Tamarion McDonald uplifted him.
I would actually have them a little bit lower. I would have them at a C. I thought it was very average. You don't give up 2 drives like you did against UTSA. Kicking game.
B, and it's just because of that Charles Campbell miss, but I don't knock him too much for that. And Jackson Ross had 1 bad punt, but for the most part, it was fine.
All right. And lastly, we have
the return game, and it's a D. You can't fumble a punt. That's rule number 1.
That's crazy. I would give it an F. If you fumble a punt and you don't do anything special, to me, that's an F. But I see where you're going.